I think the jam pedal thing's really cool. It seems kind of boutique-y and stuff, so it seems special. You can call and order your own array of whatever you want in there. If you want a vibe or whatever in there.
Why are you saying that's different?
It's
or going back and forth on
I don't know. It's just different.
Because it feels like it's a better option than the Tech21?
It feels that...
Because it's going to be twice as expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't want either one.
But you're smiling. You would think about the jam pedals.
I would like to play one. I'd like to think about it. I would think about it.
I think the jam...
Hey, welcome to ToneBros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started today on our current topic. Casey, today we're talking about the new Beachboy pedals.
Yeah, I saw this the other day.
So, I guess they're making a movie, and it's going to be about the Beach Boys and kind of their legacy. So anyways, Benson Amps is going to do a Beach Boys amp.
Yep.
Then you've got Keeley that's doing some Beach Boys pedals. Well, they've already done it.
Yep. Right.
And then JHS has done some pedals. So
yep.
I want to talk about the pedals because I doubt we're going to be really interested in that amp.
Yeah, and the amp is like really limited run, I think. I think the amps are gone.
Oh, really?
I think they're already gone.
Okay.
Like very less than 100 of them, I think, were made. So they're gone.
Okay. Gotcha. So JHS put together, it says Good Vibrations. I'm assuming it's a vibrato pedal.
Yep.
They also have this like whole bass EQ.
Yeah, it's a whole rig.
Yeah, it's a whole bass rig.
Yep.
And then Keeley did, it's like a 12-string simulator.
Yep.
And then they have like a rotary pedal, which I think is really cool to check out.
Yeah.
So anyways, didn't know if you had a chance to look at them. It looks like everything's pretty much $300 as far as pedals go.
Yeah, so I looked at them. I thought it was a cool idea to do, especially in like conjunction with this Beach Boys movie. Yeah. I think doing stuff like that, it's really, makes me wish we could go back to that Beatles documentary that came out.
Right.
And put out a whole line of stuff for the Beatles.
Right.
So how cool would that be? But I think that it's interesting to me, and it's cool collector's items. It's not something I'm like jumping on right away. However, I mean, the rotary thing's a cool idea. And rotary, really cool. In my opinion, I think rotary pedals are hard to find good ones. Mm-hmm. There's not a huge market of rotary pedals, I think, that are doing a great job of it.
For a good cost, like, price point. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can find, the Strymon Lex is, like, the big one.
It is. Yeah, and I think it's good, but it's, like, the standard. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, there's the Neo Vent that's out there.
Right.
That's, it's pretty pricey. They've got the Boss one that's out there, and it's okay. I've played that,
I mean, some of them, like, to me, they just sound like phasers. Like, I really don't get impressed with a lot of them. The only one I've really got impressed is the Neo Vent and the Lex.
Yeah, I owned the Boss one for a while, the twin pedal Boss one.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling it. It was great. Part of me kind of wished I still had it, just to have it in my arsenal, but I wasn't super happy with it. So maybe it is good I got rid of it, but that one I would be interested in for my collection as in pedals. And I'm not really a collector that hold on to a pedal for like the keepsake or because it's a limited quantity.
Like, how many guitar players out there do you think are like huge Beach Boys fans?
Well, I think there are some out there that are big Beach Boys fans, but I think probably this is going to be a set of things that goes to collectors. And they're going to collect the Keeley pedals and the JHS pedals and all these different limited runs of any era, no matter if it's Beach Boys, if it would have been Beatles, or if it would be the Monkees, or if it was Slayer. Like, they wouldn't care what it was if it was a limited run collector's edition.
Right.
There's that type of people that's going to buy that, and that's cool if you're into that. It's just, that's not our thing. So I'm not really interested in collecting just for the sake of collecting.
Right. I mean, I think it's cool that they're doing it, but honestly, what it comes down to is the pedal good? Like, I could care less if it says Beach Boys on it. I just want the pedal to be awesome.
There's two things for me. Is the pedal really good? I'm into it. If it's somebody I'm not interested in. If it's somebody I absolutely love, if they put a Paul Kossoff, like signature something or other out, I would be very interested in that because I love the guy. If they put a Mike Campbell thing for you, you would be like all about it.
Right.
So there is that aspect of it. And I think there's probably a few guitar players that fall in that with the Beach Boys. Probably not a lot.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I think of Beach Boys music like I think of Dad.
Yeah.
He likes to plug straight in for the most part.
Yeah.
He pretends to play with pedals, and for the most part, he does play with them every once in a while, but he really likes to plug straight in.
Yeah.
And I really think a lot of those fans or guitar players that are into the Beach Boys, they're going to be in the same boat. I mean, I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I really don't think it's going to hit that market. I think it's really just going to be, like you said, for those collectors. I don't think it's going to be for like people who are actually Beach Boy fans.
Or Beach Boy collectors that don't play guitar.
Right.
I think there's people that will do that too.
That's true.
They collect because there's a huge market for Beach Boy collectors out there.
Yeah.
Kind of like Elvis. There's
Or
those
like
guys
Kiss memorabilia.
Yeah, those guys will just buy anything that says Kiss, anything that says Beach Boys, and I think that could be a thing too. It's like I said, it's not anything I'm really interested in. I check out the rotary stuff. I haven't listened to a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I did listen to the Vibe. I listened to a couple of them. But
that bass rig's awesome.
I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Sans amp stuff they used to do years ago in the pedal form and rack mount. But it's I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me get into the next topic here. Let's move into this main topic. I want to talk about something that I thought I had an opinion on, and then
You thought you had an opinion.
I thought I had a certain opinion on it, and then it kind of completely changed in the last little bit. I want to talk about fingerboard radius.
Okay.
I want to talk about if it really matters. I want to talk about if it does matter, what about it changes and different things like that. I was started with pretty flat fingerboard radius whenever I was playing. I played a lot of stuff that was, I played some Jacksons and Charvels and stuff that were like 16, 14s, and then Les Pauls and stuff. And I always thought you really need a pretty flat fingerboard radius to play a lot of the things I wanted to play, until one day I walked in and played some, reissue tellies and reissue strats. But what's your opinion on fingerboard radius? Is that something that pushes you towards or away towards a guitar, or is there a fingerboard radius that you completely stay away from?
I don't know how to answer that. I'll be honest, because I feel like it totally depends on the guitar and what you're comfortable with.
Can you even tell a difference?
Well, yeah. So, like, you used to have a Jackson guitar, and that was super flat.
Yeah, I think that was that 16.
And that's kind of what I learned on that, and like a Samick Les Paul or something like that.
Yeah.
So I learned on pretty much 12-inch, whatever that was.
Yeah, I think it was
Jackson,
a 16
radius. I've got a Gibson SG that's got the 12-inch.
Yep.
I've got a Strat that, controversially, it's the Eric Johnson model. It has a 12-inch radius. Most of the time it's 9.5 or the 7.25.
Yeah.
I have a 9.5 on my Telly.
Yep.
And I love that radius.
Yeah.
That 9.5.
Yeah.
It just, like, I have kind of short, stubby fingers.
Yep.
So, I don't have the dexterity on the really flat stuff anymore. I don't know why. Maybe it's just, I got used to the 9.5 over time.
Right.
But I don't think, like, I have aversions to any radiuses. Like, or radii, however you say it. But it's one of those things where, like, it just depends on the guitar. Like, if you're playing a shredder guitar, you kind of expect a flat radius.
What if you picked up a Telly with a 16-inch radius?
That's kind of sacrilegious.
Yeah, would you pick it up if you knew it had a 16-inch radius?
I would pick it up. Regardless, I care about sound. Like, I think it's... So, my Eric Johnson, I'm still on the fence about with that radius. Because the 12-inch radius, it's really flat for a Strat.
Yeah.
It's not... It doesn't feel as slinky in the hand as most Strats.
Right.
But the tone is amazing.
Yep.
So, I don't think... To me, like, tone trumps everything. Now, comfortability is really important in how you express yourself.
Yeah, feel, right?
So, is 12-inch my favorite? Probably not. I think 9.5 is, like, the perfect radius. But, like, am I going to be dissuaded to go to a guitar? I don't think so. It just totally depends on the feel and the sound.
Is 7.25 too far for you?
To me, like, the perfect, I guess, would be 7.25 for your cowboy chords.
Yeah.
9.5 in the middle. And then as you move real far up the neck, like a 12-inch would be perfect.
Yeah, a big compound radius,
so,
right?
like a huge compound radius. Like if I could build a dream guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't think... I say that, but I don't... You know me. I don't bond well with my Strat as much as my other guitars.
You don't. I think... Yeah. I really thought that for a long time you needed something fairly flat. I got so used to playing 16s and 12s. I think that I just got used to it, and I would pick up a Telly or a Strat and just be like, especially the reissues, like 7.25, and I would be like, I don't know how you play this thing. Like, these notes are choking out, and come to find out, a lot of it comes down to setup, right?
Right.
Because if it's not set up well,
Paul
they
Reed
will
Smith
choke
was
out.
the big one on that when it came to Silver Sky. So, like, almost all his guitars are 10-inch radius.
Yep.
And he pumps out the Silver Sky.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I guess it really doesn't matter.
No. And I don't think any of them push me away from it at this point. If I'm looking for a reissue, though, I kind of like the traditional whatever it's meant to be. But in saying that, my telly I've got is a 10-inch radius.
Yeah.
It's one of the Wildwood 10s where it's got a 10-inch radius. And I pick it up, and honestly, I don't notice that it's a 10-inch radius. Some guitars I pick up, and I immediately notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's setup. Maybe it's setup I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them I quickly realize the radius is much different than what it should be or what I'm used to. And then other times I pick it up, and I can go from 7 1/4 to 12. And I don't, even blink an eye.
So, to me, when I notice it the most, the radius, is when I'm doing, the Jimi Hendrix type of licks. Yeah. Where I've got the, 2-note pattern that you kind of hammer on or pull off a certain note. Right. That's when I notice it the most.
Yeah.
When you're playing, Wind Cries Mary.
Yeah.
Kind of that type of music and those types of, note choices, that's when I notice the radius. But other than that, I don't really care. So, I think it just depends on this type of music that you play, too.
Yeah, I do really enjoy, 7 1/4 to up to 10 for those cowboy chord areas. It is so comfortable.
It's comfortable.
Really, really comfortable. But yeah, I think if I was designing a guitar, I would, if it's a Tele or a Strat, I would leave it pretty, standard to the classic radius.
Right.
And then if it's Les Paul, leave it pretty classic,
Yeah.
I think that the compound radius a lot of times feels funny to me. It feels odd, the shift.
I think you would get so used to it, though. You'd be like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, too, I think setup is everything.
Oh, it is completely.
Yeah. Then the question is, too, you're supposed to set up your saddles to be the radius of your fretboard, right? That way they match the radius of the fretboard. Not always it's a generalized rule. I realize that. But you kind of match them up to be the radius of the fretboard. That way it's even. And then with the compound radius, if you got a large shift, are you setting it up for the cowboy chord area? Or are you going to set it up for the, the higher area? You kind of can't set it up for the higher area. Yeah. Because then it's going to, I don't know. But yeah, I think you just go out and play it.
Yeah, whatever is comfortable to you, that's what you go with.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, tone is more important than anything else, so I will adjust to it. But would I prefer it, like I said, my Eric Johnson Strat, to have a rounder radius? Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I would like you to buy a new neck for your Eric Johnson Strat. Just neck.
I know.
And let's say when you buy it, you get to pick whatever neck it is. Okay, we'll say it's a music craft neck because their necks are supposed to be really good, right? I think Lindy Fralin sells some all-part necks and stuff that Jed Hughes has been using lately and sanding down. It's a big cube. Anyway, let's say you're buying a neck. What are you going to buy?
What, radius or?
Yeah, the whole thing. Are you going to buy Rosewood fingerboard again? Are you going to buy all maple? And then what radius would you buy?
Well, I don't want to jump into our topic that's coming up.
Yeah, okay.
So, as far as we're just sticking to the radius.
Oh, okay.
I would say...
another topic coming up.
Yeah,
folks.
So I would say somewhere around the 9.5. It is the perfect middle ground because, I'm not good at my setup on my guitars. I'm not going to pretend like I am real crafty in that area.
Right.
So, the 7 1/4 I would have to...
fiddle with more often.
Yeah.
9.5 seems more simple.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I would probably just go with that radius because, honestly, whether you're going cowboy chords or you're going up high, it's comfortable anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'd go with.
What you're going to go with.
We'll see. I'm curious what you all think out there. Yeah. If there's a neck radius that you all like, let us know because, honestly, we're still fiddling with it. So we don't know completely what we like.
I think it's mainly Fenders we're talking about, too. Fender styles.
Right.
Guitars. I think Les Paul's kind of set.
Right.
Can you imagine picking up a 7 1/4 Gibson? It'd be weird, right?
It would be weird.
Yeah.
Well, especially because the notes choke out, because that's why you have a humbucker guitar is to have those singing leads. Too.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Or having a 16-inch radius.
It wouldn't work.
It would just be weird. So I don't think, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Gibsons, you don't even talk about that.
Right.
But I think in the Fenders is what we're talking
Fenders,
about.
yeah.
In a Fender style guitar, what's the radius you go for?
Yep.
So
absolutely.
you want to start in with our gas or pass?
Sure. So I can't even remember what I said I was going to talk about. Okay. So in my gas or pass, I want to talk about Tech21 Flyrigs.
Okay.
And I'm pulling out my phone here because I can't remember the price point.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can get the Richie Kotzen, I think.
Yeah, Kotzen. Richie Kotzen.
You can get his fly rig for $350.
Yep.
It's got everything you would need bare bones.
Yep.
There's a delay. There's a tuner. There's a boost. There's an overdrive.
Yep.
I think he has a fuzz on there. You can change the delay to a rotary sound.
Yep.
Like, it has everything I would need as a backup rig.
Yeah.
$350. I've never played one. Have no idea what they sound like in person.
Yeah.
And then, to go on top of that, they have an acoustic fly rig.
Yep.
That's $250.
Yeah.
And it, again, has all your bare bones. Your tuner has, I think, a compression on there, some EQ.
Yep. I think there's a chorus or something.
Yeah,
on that
something
too,
like
right?
that. So it has everything you need for an acoustic.
Yeah.
And I've never really tried either one of those. But, like, talk about a great pedal board, like backup pedal board. Like, yours goes down, and you've got that, and it still would get you everything you needed.
Yeah.
So what are your opinions on the fly rigs? Are you interested? Do you want to pass on it?
Well, I think the fly rig's amazing. Richie Kotzen, as a side note, is taking that fly rig, or well, maybe not right now, but in the last year or two, he's been taking that fly rig and plugging it into a 100-watt Marshall. That's his rig. He just takes this one pedal, throws it in a suitcase, and he backlines a 100-watt Marshall full stack and plugs it into it.
Right.
So, I mean, he's using it. He's out there using it. So, I think the fly rig's really cool. I haven't played one. I've listened to some demos, and we all know how it goes, right?
Yep.
Demos suck. You just can't get the real sound of what it's going to sound like in the room. It's a different amp, the whole thing. We've talked about it a bunch, right? But I think that it's a cool concept, and I think probably it was more pertinent 5 years ago, maybe, before all these other things have came out. Now we've got Kempers, and we've got, like, the Quad Cortex, which you can also shove in a suitcase, and you have all these multi-effects and all these different things.
The Helix.
Yeah, there's the list goes on and on, right?
Right.
I think that probably has killed the market for the fly rig, because I think the fly rig probably was doing much better before then. So for me, I like the idea of it being simple. The other good thing about the fly rig, okay, so before we get into that, the other good thing about the fly rig is I like that it's 1 foot switch. Right above that foot switch, in between two lines, is like 3 or 4 or 5 knobs.
It's
Whatever,
really
however
simple
means
to
it
use.
needs. Right there. It's almost like having analog pedals just butted up against each other.
Right.
And I love the simplicity of that. There's no menu scrolling. There's no weird BS with it. And it's dummy proof. I mean, it really is. I love that about it. It's kind of like the ME80, like the Boss thing.
Sure.
Like you step on the pedal and you can adjust whatever's above it. So when it comes to that, me personally, I like that better. But I'm not really in need of that right now. As in a backup, if I was going to go for some type of backup now, I'm probably taking a pedal board already. I'm not doing any fly dates. So I'm driving somewhere and I can carry my pedal board with me, even if it's a small little nano board. And then I would bring some type of amp and cab sim pedal, like the little Boss IR2 or the million other ones that are out there, right? There's a bunch of them. And I'd bring a small amp and cab simulator in case it goes down, to throw at the end of my pedal board with a daisy chain or something and go. So for me, I think it's going to be a pass. Probably 5-10 years ago, I probably would have been gassed for that. You know what I mean? I would have been all about it. But I think today we've got too many options. If you're going to go full multi-effects like that and not just throw something at the end of your board to help with the amps and cab sim, I think that, I would go with something else. I would go with the Helix.
So just like curious, because in this same market, and this is kind of going off on a tangent here, but these fly rigs, it's pretty much all in one line, all conjoined together. What's your opinion on Jam Pedals? Because Jam Pedals does that.
Jam Pedals does that, and I love it.
Yeah.
I really do
Do
love
you feel like that's the same market? Because I feel
No.
like that's still different.
No, it's completely different.
So what's the difference between the jam pedal and the Tech21?
For me, I think the jam pedal is different. So there's something different about the jam pedal stuff because it feels more boutique.
Oh my gosh! So it's boutique. So that's the only reason.
No. It's not the only reason. I think the person that's buying the Tech21 pedal.
The Tech21 looks digital, so then you're out.
No, not necessarily.
Come on, how does this make sense?
No, not necessarily. So I'm not in for the jam pedal either.
Oh,
Let me
now
make
you're
that
changing
clear.
your story.
No, I'm not in for that. It is cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's I think Greg Cox using one right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's amazing. He can throw it in his little suitcase and take off with it. It's all in one. I think the jam pedal thing's really cool. It seems kind of boutique-y and stuff, so it seems special. You can call and order your own array of whatever you want in there. If you want a vibe or whatever in there.
Why are you saying that's different?
It's
or going back and forth.
I don't know. It's just different.
Because it feels like it's a better option than the Tech21?
It feels that...
Because it's going to be twice as expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't want either one.
But you're smiling. You would think about the jam pedals one.
I would like to play one. I'd like to think about it. I would think about it.
I think the jam pedals one, you would go for it.
Maybe so.
But the Tech21, not, huh?
No.
So here's where I differ. I think you're kind of onto something because when I look in... So to the Richie Kotzen, I'm like, this is really everything I need.
Yeah.
This is great backup rig.
Yeah.
So like to me, it would be a great backup pedal board, and I would have to play it and still decide if I wanted it.
Yeah.
And you're also stuck with everything.
You can't change anything if you don't like the delay. The problem is if you want to add an overdrive, I don't think there's an insert to add an overdrive in between drives and stuff.
If there's a TRS input.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
Okay.
I don't think there's any type of loop in there. Maybe I'm wrong, guys, but I don't think there's any loop in there to put stuff in between. And certainly there's not a loop to put one in between every one of them, right? So if there's some pedal you want to insert that's not in the front or not in the end,
I'm just
stuck.
saying, I feel like it would be a great oh crap rig.
Be a great oh crap rig.
Yeah. And also...
But what's the scenario? Your pedal board goes out? That's your oh crap rig?
Something like that. Because
or is it your amp goes out?
Well, your amp, I mean, it doesn't have an amp simulator in there. So that's the difference. Now, the only thing is that's $350.
That's why you buy single effects pedals.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic.
Then one pedal goes out and you unplug it and you throw it in the crowd.
Will you let me state my case?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think where the real seller is that acoustic rig. It's $250. You've got reverb.
And no one cares about acoustics rigs.
People don't until they realize the acoustic sound is crap.
Yeah, I mean,
then they're like, "Oh, I care about this."
Yeah,
now.
what I mean is, acoustic rigs feel different. Where I don't want to have a big pedal board with a bunch of single effects pedals for an acoustic rig. I want an all-in-one box for my acoustic. So you're right. The Tech21 seller is the acoustic.
That's what I'm thinking.
Fly rig.
I think if I would get any fly rig, that would be the one.
Or the bass.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
We're more guitar players. So.
Yeah, but and bass is simple. If I got a tuner, got a little compressor.
Bass is simple. You're going to make everybody mad.
Well, I don't mean plain. What I mean is just, if I've got a tuner, a compressor, maybe some type of like slight drive or like phaser. I mean, what else are you going to need for a bass rig? The average player, right?
The average player.
The average player. I'm not talking,
All right, so anyways, it just comes down to, I think the Tech21 acoustic rig is definitely the way to go. And maybe the Richie Kotzen.
So is it a gas for you?
I think so. I think I'll get one day. Or at least try it out. And then when you get your jam pedals, we'll compare.
All right, so let's move on to my gas or pass.
Okay.
I want to talk about gas or pass. The Mythos Argo.
And I know nothing about it other than what that pedal show has just showed me like this past week.
Okay. I've been looking at this pedal for a long time at this point.
Okay.
So let me give you a little rundown.
All right.
I made some notes on our sheet here. So Mythos Argo, new, $179, so $180.
Yep.
It's based on the Prescription Electronics COB pedal. I don't remember what COB pedal stands for.
It doesn't matter. Anyways.
No, anyway. So the COB pedal, that has been on Tom Bukovac's board. It's been on a bunch of different session players' boards.
Okay.
The COB pedal now, the old ones.
It doesn't have fuzz in it, does it?
It is a fuzz.
Okay, it is a fuzz. Okay.
So
I think I saw Josh Smith have that one time.
Maybe so. The old ones now, which are not that old, like early 2000s, like 2005 prescription electronics are selling for like $1,000.
Holy cow.
So Zach Broyles, I think is his name. Zach from Mythos. Let's just say Zach from Mythos.
Okay.
So he designed this based around it. It's not an exact replica, nothing like that, but it's based off that circuit. He made his own little modifications and stuff. So it's a fuzz. It's got a blend control, so you can blend in the amount of fuzz and octave together, and then it's got your normal like gain and volume on it. I've listened to it quite a bit for some reasons I don't want to talk about because pedal miss is a thing, right?
Okay. Yep.
And then they also sell an Argonaut. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's that really small pedal. It doesn't have any knobs on the outside, just has an LED and a switch.
Right.
And it's just the octave from the Argo.
I've played that.
Really?
I've played that. I forgot to mention that. I think that was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
I've only played, and I was very confused because I was like, where's the knob?
Yeah, I think there's a knob on the inside of it that's like a volume knob or like a master knob.
Okay.
But Zach wants to keep that stuff really simple. He's got a few knobs that are like that. Or a few pedals like that with knobs just on the inside that he wanted to make it simple.
Okay.
But anyway, the Argonaut, it's an octave fuzz based on that prescription electronics pedal. Is that a gas or pass for you?
So, it's a fuzz.
Yep.
Based on the cob.
Yep.
The corn on the cob.
The corn on the cob.
And then you have an octave in there.
Yeah.
And it's
with an octave blend you can bring in.
You said it's $180.
Yeah, $180.
Wait, it's an octave blend, not an on-off?
No.
Okay, so I'll tell you what makes me nervous about it.
Yeah.
Why I have hesitations. I used to have Visual Sound used to make this pedal called the Angry Fuzz.
Yep.
Used to have it. It was one of my first pedals I ever had.
Right.
It had, I'm trying to remember. I think it had an octave knob. It might have, no, I think it had a bass switch. I don't think it had an on-off octave switch. But you could roll the octave off.
Yeah.
And even all the way off, you could still kind of hear it.
Yeah, so the octave in this is not real prevalent. It's one of those you kind of got to be high, like 9th, 12th fret, and got to be like playing, with your neck pickup ideally. And then it kind of comes in. I've listened to it, and it's not really my type of playing, which we know that I'm not a giant fuzz player anyway. Right? But whenever I listen to it and I hear guys with strats play it a lot of times I'm like, man, this is right up Colin's alley.
What is, and now I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you know, is it silicon, is it germanium, is it...
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
I would want to know all those specifics. It's one of those things
I don't care about that.
Maybe you don't, but when you have a germanium, you'll care if you have like buffers or two bypass before or after.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I don't care whatsoever, because obviously I care. But whenever I listen to something like that and I really like the sound, no matter if it's silicon, or germanium, if I like the sound of it as much as I like the sound of this Argo, to be honest with you, I don't care.
Okay,
it's to me in my head, whenever I listen to it and I hear it, I'm like, yeah, I'm all over it. I think Robin Ford just put this on his rig.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good selling point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would be interested. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard it. I am interested in getting another octave fuzz.
Yeah.
Because I got rid of that angry fuzz, and while it wasn't perfect, you could still hear the octave down low.
Yeah. It
would be really cool to have another one.
What octave fuzz have you looked into thinking about it?
You talking about like what have I looked at currently?
Yeah. Is there something?
Honestly, I haven't looked into pedals much for it. Like I'd have to research.
Yeah, okay.
I think Mythos makes some awesome pedals.
Yeah.
So I would definitely check it out. That would probably be on my list, but I don't think I've really ventured.
I heard a little snippet too. I'm going to be real quiet about this, but I did hear somebody comment that pedal show might be doing a conjunction thing with Mythos. It's basically an Argo, and there's a side switch that turns the octave on and off.
Well,
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying it out loud, but I did hear there might be something releasing soon with TPS.
Well, I know that Mick, he plays the Argo.
Yeah, he's the one that's in talks supposedly about it.
Okay.
No spoilers.
So, I don't know. I'm just curious. I don't think, like, am I going to run out the stores to buy one? No.
Yeah.
But, like, if it sounds right and I'm interested in it, I would potentially buy it.
Yep.
It's not like an urgent concern though.
Me either. I honestly wouldn't mind having it. I'm not a big fuzz guy, but I wouldn't mind having it as my octave fuzz to hang on to just throw on my board for fun sometimes.
Right.
Sounds great to me. But
if
you want to move on to your other main topic?
So my main topic, This is going to be heated. I hope you're prepared. All right, Casey. This is the age-old debate that
Let me set you straight.
I don't think that anyone is going to agree with us. I don't think you might not agree with me, but there comes a time where you have to decide if you're buying a Fender guitar. Am I going to get a Rosewood neck or am I going to get a maple neck? Fretboard, I should say. So
you know what?
Pull out a couple of them.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's just get this situated, right?
All right. So you should know that this is my Telecaster. Obviously a maple board. Casey here, he's got one with a Rosewood board.
It's with the right board.
We're going to talk about this because I honestly still go back and forth on should a Tele have a Rosewood or a maple board. I still think about it with Strats. Obviously, do you want a 50 sound, a 60 sound? That might play into it because...
Does it even matter?
I think it matters.
It definitely matters.
Because the rest of the online community seems to think they sound the same. And I'm here to say I don't believe in that.
No.
You can correct us if we're wrong, but I don't think we are.
No.
This is just our opinion, so don't steamroll us. So we are going to get started here. I'm going to talk about why I chose the maple board.
Cool.
You can talk about why you chose that Rosewood board. And then we'll just go on from there. So, qualities as far as a maple board. So this is all, you got to realize, this is all subjective to a point, but then there comes a part of it where it's almost just factual. You ask pretty much any musician that's played these types of Fender guitars, and they'll probably tell you something.
Or luthiers. You talk to builders that know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So maple board, everyone will say it's snappier. I think there's more to it than that. Honestly, I feel like I get more pop out of the strings.
Yeah.
It sounds like at the front of the note, it's a little harsher, but as the note rings out, it's a little more rounded. Whereas I feel like that is more rounded at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it kind of holds the brightness at the end, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Obviously, our pickups are different, so we're not comparing that. We're just comparing the fretboard. This is actually a 9.5. This is the Tele I have. But I feel like maple, underneath the fingers, it can be sticky at times. Depending on if you have a lacquered front.
If it's thick lacquered, right?
Lacquered on the front. But you're going to get more of that, I don't know how to describe it, almost quackiness. I feel like you're going to get more, like I said, kind of spark at the beginning of the note. And really when you go kind of towards the edge of the string here, towards the bridge, I feel like you can hear it a little more on the maple.
Yeah.
And I feel like as far as frequencies go, this to me sounds more scooped.
Yeah.
And yours sounds more mid-peaked or maybe flat.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my opinion on the maple. I chose maple just because to me, a Tele, you want some pop and some sparkiness to that note. So that's why I chose it. I also am a huge Mike Campbell fan, and he has an old 50s Tele. So
I think the maple, you're dead on with what I think with maple. Also, I think if you go neck pickup or you play close to the neck pickup, I think there's a doinkiness about maple. I know that sounds silly.
That's such a scientific term.
It's very scientific. But Zach Childs talks about it a lot when he's talking Teles. I just watched a Brad Paisley interview here the other day. He was kind of talking the same exact thing. There's a doinkiness, that old Fender sound that you get out of it. Jed Hughes was talking about it the other day too, about how when you start moving up this way, and he's a big maple guy too, that you just get this doinkiness. It's hard to describe.
You got to choose a better word.
Whenever you hear it, though, you just know it. It's that classic Fender 50s sound. So, okay, so getting into Rosewood. So for me, and something we didn't get into, maybe we should break into it here in a second, but I'll finish with Rosewood first. So for me, I have a lot of difficulty with the maples whenever they're lacquered very thick. It feels sticky, and as much as I want to be just on the string, my fingers end up on the fretboard. It's inevitable, even if it's just bending, if it's whatever. I've played Rosewood pretty much my entire life. I've been a Rosewood guy, and I think probably pushes me towards Rosewood, just in feel. But then when I get into tone, there's something about the 60s tellies that just jump out at me. I think it's a mix of the Rosewood boards. I think it's a mix of the pickups and just everything about it that comes together that just works for me. I think you're right. I think there's more roundness and warmth to the Rosewood right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And I think it holds on to the brightness for longer as it sustains. And I think the maple is a little brighter and gets more round as it goes. But I think that's the note falling off. Almost like you're rolling down your volume. Not that it has less sustain. It's just different. Sure. Right? And I think it's just falling off. And our ears are perceiving it as that the high end is rolling off. Mm-hmm. But really it's just, So I think for me, I enjoy the Rosewood. Jumping from guitar to guitar, it just seems to fit well. Every time I pick up a telly,
it's more comfortable to you.
Every time I pick up a maple telly, I'm always thinking to myself, like, it just doesn't feel quite right to me for whatever reason. But then I play them and hear different people play them, and I just love the sound of them. Mm-hmm. So
I think there has to be something said too. We got to talk about this. Is when you're playing a maple fretboard or a Rosewood, usually the body composition is different. Yeah. The pickups are different. Yeah. 50 style is going to be very different than 60 style. Yep. As far as pickups go.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should switch necks.
We're not doing that.
Not right now.
We don't have time to do it.
Not right now. Not right now. We're not doing that. But no, one day we should come in here and we should switch necks. Put down below if you would like to hear our opinions on these guitars, because we're not going to probably demo them and set up. I mean, I guess technically we could. We could make some short video of that too. But I think it would be more fun for us to just swap the necks, play them for a little bit, and swap the necks back, because they're going to fit. Right. That's a 9.5, and this is a 10. They're going to be close enough with the saddles that it won't affect anything. And I would be interested in seeing what it is. What's your opinion on the lacquer on the maple, though?
So, I think I've never had an issue on this. Yeah. I've played some maple fretboards that had so much lacquer on it, it did feel sticky.
Yeah, especially those 52 reissues that were coming out in like the early 2000s. I played a bunch of them, and the necks were baseball bats first off.
Yeah, this is a 50s American original they came out with like maybe a decade ago at this point.
Probably.
And I got to say, I've never had any issue with this, front of the neck. I will say also that my hand tends to sweat a lot more than yours or pretty much anyone else I know. So when I'm playing guitar, it's just going to eat away that lacquer anyways. Yeah. So even if I did have a little bit of that happen in the beginning, it's sure gone now. I can tell you that.
So, and I've played some roasted maple necks, which I think are a cool idea because it's supposed to make them more like stable and more sturdy. I think whenever it makes it more stable and sturdy, I think it's also making it a little brighter, and I think it's a little harder. Okay. I think it makes the maple a little bit harder, so it pushes it even that much further away from this. I think when there's lacquer on the board, personally, I think it pushes it a little further. So if I was going to put in rankings, fretboards, I would put Rosewood, very round, holds on to the brightness for longer. A non-lacquered maple board, like an oiled board, is a little closer to this, in between this and that, with the lacquered. It goes lacquered next, and then the brightest, I think, with the most fall off to the note, I think is that roasted maple board.
See, I've never played a roasted maple.
Especially if it's lacquered. I've played a Tom Anderson. I've played a Sir, and that's whenever they were roasting all their maple, doing all that stuff. And I think it's cool. I think it's a great idea, especially for guys who are dragging their guitars all over the place. We know that Sir and Tom Anderson, those guys, they've got it dialed in for what the touring guy needs. Right. And I thought they felt really good and everything, but just couldn't get along with the fretboard.
So I have a question for you, because this is truly why I brought this as a main topic, if I can get the words out. If you were choosing a telly, obviously you're going to choose Rosewood. I would choose maple.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way about a Strat?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would choose Rosewood every time for a Strat?
Yep. But here's my caveat to that. My caveat to that is I've got a Rosewood fretboard telly there's a little part of me that wants a maple board telly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different. It's different. And this is alder. That's ash.
Right.
I kind of want to play with the idea of having an alder body because tone woods do make a difference.
Don't kill us.
I want to play with an alder body and a maple neck, non-lacquered neck. That's what I want to play with. That's something I've been thinking about, looking at parts casters and maybe doing something just to play with as just a project for fun.
Sure.
But yeah, I kind of, if I was to walk out and buy one Strat, excuse me, one Strat, what fretboard do you want? I want Rosewood.
See,
but yeah, I kind of want it all, right?
I would just say, for me, like the telly, I think you have to go maple. Like that's the classic telly sound. Now for Strat, I would go Rosewood.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a certain tone to a Rosewood Strat that you just can't get out of maple.
I think that's because you grew up playing Dad's Fender Strat. That's a Rosewood board.
I don't think that way because I really do, like almost all my heroes that play Strats, Rosewood board. Yeah. So I think it's just something that's been in my head, like subconsciously.
Yeah.
But anyways, curious what you all think. Would you prefer a maple board like mine or a Rosewood one like his?
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.